Okay, now let's talk about the questions that we're going to be asking these people. And I'll tell you how we're going to be reaching out to different people a little bit later. Right now, let's focus on writing the customer discovery interview. So there are a couple questions that are very important to understand, and I'm going to explain to you why. This is not a drill. You should actually start doing this. Write your customer discovery interview as we're doing this. I've put an example below, so you'll be able to actually download a really good customer discovery interview template that I've provided below. So if you'd like to download that, you can click below and download it, or somewhere around here. Excellent. So let's talk about this. What type of questions are you going to be asking? As I mentioned, you really don't want to get into the would, into the could. So one of the first questions that's very important is to ask them to tell you about the last time they boom. And boom is really the context in which you think your solution might live. So for example, if you're talking about the bicycle, you're going to be asking about, and we're targeting the problem that you believe that they have is that they have a problem to get to work, right? So tell me about the last time you tried to go to work. You're really going to want to try to understand their past behavior and really understand, what they have really found difficult about that. So the second question is, what was the hardest part about that specific thing, right? Like you're trying to really get to the depth of it, and you're very quickly going to see whether or not the problems that you think are a big problem for them are really a big problem within the context of kind of that solution, right? The next thing you want to understand is how often is this problem happening, right? And the reason for that is because if it's happening often, it's probably going to be something that they're looking to solve somehow. So if we talk about Airbnb, how often do you travel and take a trip where you're going to need a house? That might just happen once a year, but then it's important to know that because you're going to be structuring your entire business model around that. The next question is, have you tried solving this? So this is really important because if people have actually already tried to solve it, it means that it's something that is a real pain, right? We're really trying to gauge the importance and how strong or how acute this problem is, right? And if they've already tried to solve this, it's a really good indicator that they might be willing to pay for a solution and potentially what you have in mind. The other thing that you really want to do is if they have tried to solve it, you want to understand what they've tried. You want to understand whether or not the solution that they found to solving this problem is working well, if they've already found a solution. And if not, your product might come in because it's a better way of solving that problem. But either way, it's super important. The last thing that you really want to ask absolutely is why. So every time you ask a question and they answer, you're going to want to kind of follow up with why, right? And you might not do that with the first question because that'd be kind of ridiculous. But if you get into like, what was the hardest part about doing that thing? And you ask, why was that the hardest thing? Then they're going to go a little deeper in the problem and you're going to start understanding these different things, right? And that's very important to understanding the psychology of the customer, right? To understand really like what is going through this person's mind. So that's pretty much it for the questions that you're going to be asking. I like to keep this really simple because the important thing is to really quickly write a questionnaire that's good enough and then hit the market with it. Really go out there and start talking to people. And we're going to talk about how you can do that in the next video.